Hi, I'm Constance Duke, Director of Sustainability at Sustain.Life. This is the Week in Sustainability, where our team of practitioners get together to share some of the most important issues and stories in sustainability. I am joined today by my colleague, Ben Gruitt, a senior manager on our team. I'll start us off with a quick rundown of some good news in sustainability, while Ben will cover a study on some alarming climate change feedback loops. Certainly less cheery news, but very important. So let's begin with the United Airlines Sustainable Fuel Fund. United Airlines launched this investment fund upward of $100 million for startups focused on R&D and production of sustainable aviation fuel. This fund is called the United Airlines Venture Sustainable Flight Fund, and it launched with partners including Air Canada, Boeing, JP Morgan Chase, Honeywell, and General Electric. It's at least partly motivated by the 2050 net zero target that was set by the International Air Transport Association in 2021. And today, sustainable aviation fuel costs at least twice as much, potentially much more than that, as fossil fuel aviation fuel. And it's only produced in relatively small amounts from feedstocks like manure and cooking oil. So, hopefully, with this fund in place, we'll see some exciting developments on the sustainable aviation fuel front soon. In other good news, the Biden administration has released a long awaited rule to expand and standardize the US EV charging network to give consumers unfettered access, and it has allocated $7.5 billion to the initiative. The rule requires chargers to be assembled in the US effective immediately, and by 2024, at least 55% of their cost has to come from US made components. Companies that want access to funds to grow the network must standardize their charging systems and payment methods, including smartphone friendly options. The rule has received mostly positive feedback from producers of EV chargers, with some concerns around ramping up US based assembly so quickly. And then I'll wrap it up with IKEA's dairy goal. IKEA has released recently its 2022 sustainability report and said they're looking for ways to replace or remove dairy in its food products to meet its 2030 climate goals. The company has already significantly upped its plant based menu from plant balls and dairy free soft serve ice cream to plant based hot dogs, which are extremely popular in Germany, with sales of the item doubling from 2019 to 2022 as prices decrease. And according to the report, IKEA has also managed to reduce its food waste by 50% in 2022 over its 2017 baseline. And I just think this is worth calling out because these are such great examples of accessible initiatives, even for companies where food purchases and food waste aren't primary activities. And with that, I will hand it off to Ben.
Thanks, Constance. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news this week, but a group of international scientists from Oregon State University, Exeter University, and the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research in Germany unveiled a study of prevailing climate literature that identified 41 physical and biological climate feedback loops. A climate feedback loop is a cyclical chain reaction that happens when one change in a system triggers further changes in that same process and then feeds back on itself. So a good example of this is thawing permafrost in Canada and Russia. As permafrost thaws, bacteria breaks down the newly available organic matter in the soil, releasing carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere. This in turn leads to additional rises in temperature, which thaws even more permafrost. So, of these 41 feedback loops studied, they found that 27 of them are driving up global temperatures, while only seven were dampening climate change, and another seven have currently undetermined effects, whether positive or negative. The authors of the study called for immediate and massive reductions in planet warming emissions, saying, quote, it's too late to fully prevent the pain of climate change, but if we take meaningful steps soon, it could still be possible to limit harm. So here's hoping that the news you shared on sustainable aviation fuel, vehicle electrification, and plant based food offerings continues to accelerate these emissions reductions efforts sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Ben. Really appreciate the tie back to those corporate initiatives and the reminder that we need to act with urgency. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today, and we will see you next week with more stories in sustainability. Until then, take care.